3 years ago, my mother looked me in the eye and said something I will never forget. "If you marry that woman, you are no longer my son." And then she laughed. What she didn't know was that the woman she called baggage was hiding something that would change all of our lives. But the truth didn't come out until 3 years later, when my mother finally saw the life she thought I had ruined. And when she did, she broke down. My father left when I was 5. After that, my mother raised me alone, but love was never really part of the equation. She came from a wealthy family, and in her mind, I wasn't just her son. I was her investment. Private schools, piano lessons, networking dinners. Every step of my life was planned, except one thing. Who I fell in love with, her name was Anna. She wasn't what my mother expected. No designer clothes, no family connections, no fancy job. Just a tired woman with kind eyes, and a 7-year-old son she was raising alone. She worked night shifts at a clinic. She drove an old car that sounded like it might fall apart every time it started, but she had something my mother never understood. Harden. Somehow, that was enough for me. The night I introduced Anna to my mother, I knew it was going to be bad. But I didn't expect that bad. My mother barely shook her hand. Then she looked at Anna's son, then back at me, and said 4 words. "She comes with baggage." Anna didn't say anything, but I saw the way her fingers tightened around her son's shoulder. Later that night, my mother called me into her office. "If you marry her, don't ever ask me for anything again. No inheritance, no family support, nothing. You're choosing that life," she said. And for the first time in my life, I chose something she didn't approve of. One married Anna. We moved into a small rental house. It wasn't impressive, but it was ours. One evening, while we were building a Lego set on the floor, her son looked up at me and said softly, "Can I call you Dad?" I wasn't prepared for that moment, but I didn't hesitate. Yes. And just like that, I had a family. But there was something about Anna that always felt mysterious. Some nights she would come home exhausted, not just tired, emotionally drained. 3 years passed. And in those years, our little life grew stronger. Her son was now 10. And then one day, I got a message from my mother. Just 3 words. "I need help." When I arrived, everything felt different. The home looked empty, cold. My mother looked older, tired. She looked scared. I lost everything. Bad investments, legal issues. The wealthy life she built had collapsed. And suddenly, I was the only person left. I invited her to dinner. When my mother walked into our home, she looked around silently. The house was small, simple, but warm. Anna's son ran into the room. "Dad! Look what I built." My mother froze. "Dad." Her voice cracked slightly. "Tell me something," she said. "What exactly do you do at that clinic?" Anna hesitated. Then she said, "I'm not a nurse. I'm a pediatric oncologist, a children's cancer specialist." The night shifts, the exhaustion. Suddenly it all made sense. Every night, she was fighting for children's lives. And that's when my mother broke. "I spent my whole life chasing success," she said, "and I pushed away the only person who built a real family." A few months later, my mother passed away. Before she died, she wrote one letter. "To Anna, you gave my son something I never could. A real home. Please make sure he never becomes like me." If someone in your family judged the person you loved, would you still choose love? Even if it meant losing everything? Tell me in the comments. Because sometimes, the hardest choices lead to the most meaningful lives.